You are listening to SDO Isabela Radio-Based Instruction.
Learning never stops in Math Eskwela, your school on air.
Your partner in achieving fun learning experiences. Let's listen, enjoy, and have fun in learning mathematics. Stay tuned.
Marvelous morning, math enthusiast! You're currently tuning in to Radyo Eskwela sa Isabela, where learning never stops. I am happy to know that you are joining me as we learn and discover new things in the field of mathematics. This is Hensley R. Marquez, your math buddy on air.
Yay!
How are you feeling today? Our weather really spells summer because it's hot these days. That's why, as we listen to this broadcast, we may find a strategic place to listen comfortably, like under a tree, in our backyard, or in a cooler place inside our house. Time flies fast. And we're now in the third week of the last grading period. But let's not waver. Let's maintain our vigor in learning and look forward to more meaningful days ahead. Before we start, be sure you had your stomach full and seated in a comfortable place while listening to the broadcast for you to focus and relax. But before that, let's do a little stretching. Are you ready?
I'm ready!
Stretch your arms up to the sides and down. Shrug your shoulders. Move them inwards and outwards. Do this 3 times. Now, breathe in, breathe out. Feeling relaxed now?
Oh yeah!
Okay, now we're ready to discover and learn new things. So now, be ready with your learning activity sheets or LAS, pen and paper. Let's start. Have you ever been curious about your rank in class? Do you consider college or university ranks in choosing the school you want to be in? Do you usually search for the most trending topics on Google? Do you consider ratings in buying different products? If you are, then you're using measures of position. Measures of position give us a way to see where a certain data point or value falls in a sample or distribution, like our position in class or our class rank. Before we proceed with our lesson, let's see if you can still remember our past lesson. What measures of position have we discussed last time? Very good! We discussed measures of position for in-group data such as quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. What is meant by quartiles again? You are correct again. Quartiles are 3 score points that divide a distribution into 4 equal parts. How about decile? Excellent! Deciles are the 9 score points which divide the distribution into 10 equal parts. And what about percentiles? Percentiles are the 99 score points that divide the distribution into 100 equal parts. Now, I'm sure that you understood our lesson last time about finding the quartile, decile, and percentiles for ungrouped data. This time, we will discuss the exact measures of position for grouped data. When dealing with more sets of data, we often arrange them in groups or intervals with a table of frequency, which makes it different from ungrouped data. Now, are you ready to understand how to find the measure of position for grouped data? How pleasing to the ears! Well then, let's start. To be able to calculate the quartile, decile, and percentile for grouped data, we must be able to identify the lower boundary, or LB, and the less than cumulative frequency, or less than CF. First, let's take a look at page 13 of our learning activity sheets. At the top of the page, there is a table showing the scores of 20 students in a 30-item quiz in mathematics, containing already given data on columns, class interval or CI, and frequency or F. The first step we should do is to create a column for the lower boundary or LB. How do we calculate the lower boundary? We just have to identify the lowest number in each class interval or the lower limit or LL, and subtract 0.5 from it in each row. Say for example, on the last row, and we have the class interval 6 to 10. Therefore, the lower limit, or LL, is 6. Subtract 0.5 from 6, which becomes 5.5. Then, put it on the same row as the class interval 6 to 10. That means the lower boundary for the class interval 6 to 10 is 5.5. Same with class interval 11 to 15. The lower boundary is 11. Subtract 0.5 from 11. We have 10.5. Then, put it on the same row as its corresponding class interval. The same steps shall be done up to the first row with class intervals 26 to 30. Can you follow gradient, students? Magnificent! The next set of data we will also need is the less than cumulative frequency. Less than cumulative frequency distribution is obtained by adding successively the frequencies of all the previous classes, including the class against which it is rated. It starts from the lowest to the largest size. In contrast, when you add the frequencies from the highest to lowest class size, that is called more than cumulative frequency. Remember, students, we are finding how many values are less than the upper bounds of the class. Thus, we use the less than the cumulative frequency. To fill the column for less than cumulative frequency, copy the first frequency, that is, frequency of class interval 6 to 10, which is 1. For the next row, add the data in the previous class less than cumulative frequency to the next frequency, which is 2. Therefore, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Put 3 in the next row after 1. We'll do the same procedure for the next. Add 3 to the next frequency, which is 5, resulting in 8. Then, 8 plus 8, or the next frequency, is equal to 16. Following the steps we have done, what do you think will be our last entry under less than cumulative frequency? Lastly, 16 plus 4 is equal to 20 is the entry for the last row under less than the cumulative frequency. Excellent! 16 plus 4 is equal to 20. Therefore, 20 is the entry for the last row under less than cumulative frequency. Now, we are ready to find the specific decile, quartile, and percentile for grouped data. Let's just follow the given formula for each measure of position. The formula for quartile is equal to LB plus the quantity of K multiplied by N divided by 4 over F sub QK minus CF sub D multiplied by I, where K is equal to the kth quartile, where K is equal to 1, 2, 3, and 4. LB is equal to lower boundary of the kth quartile. N is equal to total frequency. F sub QK is equal to frequency of the quartile class. CF sub D is equal to cumulative frequency before the quartile class. I is equal to size of class interval. For the example, let's refer to pages 14 to 15 of our LAS. In example 2, table 3 shows the scores of 60 students in mathematics in a 50-item quiz. To solve for the first quartile, or Q sub 1, we need to follow these steps. Step 1, find the first quartile using the formula K multiplied by N divided by 4. We know that K is 1 since we're looking for first quartile. N is total frequency. So look at the highest value in the less than cumulative frequency column. From table 3, what is the highest value in less than cumulative frequency class? Excellent! It's 60. That means K multiplied by N divided by 4 is equal to 1 multiplied by 60 divided by 4 is equal to 15. What does this mean? It means that we need to find the class interval where the 15th score is contained. From the table, we can see that the 7th to 15th score falls under the class interval 21 to 25. We're done with step 1. The second step is to identify the values to be used based on the first quartile class. From the formula, we need to identify K, or the kth quartile, CF sub D, or cumulative frequency before the quartile class, LB, or lower boundary of the kth quartile, F sub Q1, or frequency of the first quartile, N, or the total frequency, and I, or the size of the class interval. Earlier, we have identified the values of K and N. What are the values of K and N again, learners? You listed so well. You are correct. K is 1 and N is 60. Therefore, the remaining values that we have to identify are cumulative frequency before the quartile class, lower boundary of the kth quartile, frequency of the first quartile, and size of class interval. Looking at the given table again, since our first quartile class interval is 21 to 25, what should be the cumulative frequency before the quartile class? You got it right, learners! It is 6, since The less than cumulative frequency of first quartile is 16, and before it is 6. How about the lower boundary of the first quartile? We just look at the lower boundary of our quartile class. What do you think is its value? Marvelous! Our lower boundary, or LB, is 20.5. On the left side of the lower boundary is the frequency of the quartile class, or F sub Q1. Can you guess its value? That's right! The frequency of the quartile class is 10. The last one we have to identify is the interval, or I. The size of the class interval can be solved by getting the difference between the upper limit and the lower limit, then adding 1 to the class interval. Let's say we choose the class interval 16 to 20. Its upper limit is 20 minus the lower limit is 16 equals 4. Plus 1 is equal to 5. Therefore, the size of the class interval is 5. To summarize, our values are K is equal to 1, cumulative frequency before the quartile class is 6, lower boundary is equal to 20.5, frequency of the quartile class is equal to 10, total frequency is 60, and size of class interval is equal to 5. Since we're done identifying the values to be used, let's now proceed to the next step, which is to solve by substituting the values to the formula. Can you read the formula in computing quartile again, class? Very nice! Quartile is equal to lower boundary of the kth quartile plus the quantity of the kth quartile times total frequency divided by 4 over frequency of the quartile class minus cumulative frequency before the quartile class multiplied by size of the class interval. Substituting the values, we'll have first quartile is equal to 20.5 plus the quantity of 1 times 60 divided by 4 over 10 minus 6 multiplied by 5. Using the PEMDAS rule, we have to simplify first the values inside of the parentheses. 1 times 60 is equal to 60 divided by 4 is equal to 15. 15 over 10 minus 6 is equal to 9/10. Multiplied by 5 yields 4.5. So, 20.5 plus 4.5 is equal to 25. Therefore, first quartile is equal to 25. What does this mean, class? Since it's quartile 1, this means that 25% of the students got a score of less than or equal to 25. Can you still follow, class? Wow, that's nice to hear. At this point, let's now proceed to computing desired deciles. Computing the decile is similar to solving quartiles. The only difference is finding the decile class. And we will divide k times n this time by 10. Same given values to identify and same procedure. So, if you understood how to solve the quartile earlier, this would also be easy for you. Now, on page 16, we have table 4 containing earned points of different network users. There are 4 columns for the class interval, frequency, lower boundary, and less than cumulative frequency, respectively. However, we have to fill in the last 2 columns. Can you still remember how to get the lower boundary, grade 10 students? Very good! We just have to subtract the lower limit of each class by 0.5. So, what would be our values for the lower boundary? Exactly! Lower boundaries will be 15.5, 20.5, 30.5, 35.5, 40.5, and 45.5 from the bottom to top. How about less than cumulative frequency? How do we get the values? You are right! We copy the first frequency 6, then add it to the next frequency up to the last frequency. And what are the values under less than cumulative frequency? Correct again! They are 6, 16, 25, 40, 48, 55, and 60 from bottom to top. Okay, table 4 is set. We're now ready to solve for 6th decile. First, let's find the 6th decile class using k times n divided by 10. But of course, let's identify k and n first. Would you like to identify what are the values of the k and n class? Then what are they? Very nice! K is 6 and n is 60. Therefore, what is k multiplied by n divided by 10? Marvelous! It is 36. This implies that we need to find the class interval where the 36th score is contained. Do you know which class interval the 36th score is contained? Absolutely! It's 31 to 35, since its corresponding less than cumulative frequency tells us that it contains the 26th to 40th score. Now, let's proceed to the second step. Identify the values we need in the formula, which are k, or kth decile, cf sub d, or cumulative frequency before the decile class, LD, or lower boundary, f sub d6, or frequency of the 6th decile, n, or the total frequency, and I, or the size of class interval. Can you identify what their values are? Correct! Kth decile is equal to 6. Cumulative frequency before the decile class is equal to 25. Lower boundary is equal to 30.5. Frequency of the 6th decile is equal to 15. Total frequency is equal to 60. And size of class interval is equal to 5. Step 3. Let's solve through substituting the given values. Remember that the formula we need is decile is equal to lower boundary plus the quantity of kth decile times total frequency divided by 10 over frequency of the 6th decile minus cumulative frequency before the decile class multiplied by size of class interval. 6th decile is equal to 30.5 plus the quantity of 6 times 60 divided by 10 over 15 minus 25 multiplied by 5. We have to simplify first the values inside of the parentheses. 6th decile is equal to 30.5 plus the quantity of 36 divided by 15 minus 25 multiplied by 5. Completing the procedure, what is 6th decile? How will you interpret the answer? Very good! You are really certified mathematicians. 6 decile is equal to 34.17, and it means that 60% of the students scored less than or equal to 34.17. Amazing, isn't it? Are you ready for the next measure of position, which is the percentile? Let's start. Excellent! The 85th percentile is equal to 43. Therefore, 85% of the students got a score less than or equal to 43. Do you understand, class? Then, let's summarize what we discussed today. What are the formulas for quartile, decile, and percentile? You are correct. Quartile is equal to lower boundary plus the quantity of kth quartile times total frequency divided by 4 over frequency of the quartile class minus cumulative frequency before the quartile class multiplied by size of class interval. Decile is equal to lower boundary plus the quantity of kth decile times total frequency divided by 10 over frequency of the decile class minus cumulative frequency before the decile class multiplied by size of class interval. And percentile is equal to lower boundary plus the quantity of kth percentile times total frequency divided by 100 over frequency of the percentile class minus cumulative frequency before the percentile class multiplied by size of class interval. What are the steps to be done to calculate the desired measure of position? Absolutely. First, find the quartile. Today, for our quiz, do activity 4 for 15 points, entitled My Last Step on page 17 of your LAS. The question is, what fruit did my mother buy in the market? These are the directions for you to be able to answer the given question. Number 1. The table below is the frequency distribution of the price of different fruits and vegetables sold in the market per piece. Number 2. Compute for the unknown deciles. First decile, third decile, fourth decile, and seventh decile. Round off your answers to the nearest whole number. Add all your answers from numbers 1 to 4. The sum will be the number of your steps. Just follow the steps on the next page, and it will give you the answer to the question above. Refer to Table 5. Good luck! Are you done answering? To give you time to finalize your answers, here's the theme song of Radyo Eskwela.
Tayo ay mag-aral sa loob ng ating tahanan. Sa radyo ay mag-tune lang, tiyak ika'y may matututunan. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa, upang masigurong bawat bata ay pumapasa. Halina't matuto, gamit ang ating radyo tayo'y kinabukasan, ang pag-asa ng ating bayan. Isa pusong pagkatuto nang matupad ang pangarap mo. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa upang masigurong bawat bata ay bumabasa. Halina at matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan, kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo ng lahat makinig. Halina at matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan, kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo na, tayo na, tayo na sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo na, tayo na, tayo na sa Radyo Eskwela.
Tayo na!
Congratulations on finishing your quiz, mathematicians. It's time to check your answers. Remember, be honest in checking, okay?
Okay!
To answer what fruit did mother buy in the market, we need to get first decile, third decile, fourth decile, and seventh decile first. First decile is equal to 8, third decile is equal to 11, fourth decile is equal to 13, and seventh decile is equal to 17. Adding all the steps by the answers given, we will now have 49 steps. From the start, 49 steps mean the fruit that the mother bought in the market is mango. How's your score? And there you go, students. We have improved our math skills once again. Always remember, constant practice makes perfect. So just be diligent, and you'll get the results you wish for. On behalf of our scriptwriter, Ma'am Shahani M. Kalimag, and the SDO Isabela RBI production, this is Hensley R. Marquez, your math buddy on air. Have a blessed day.
Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon.
Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan.
Kaya halina sa radyo